the other day. I was in Ypres at the Flanders Field Memorial for 100 years since the end of the Great War. And as I was scanning across the endless names of the dead on the war memorial, I had a very powerful realization when I came across my own family's surname, because it was at that moment that I realized that I was related to someone who graffitis on war memorials. And then still decides to sign their name at the bottom of the art. Had quite a painful experience the other day. I mistook my nipple for an insect bite, and I'm one of those people who, when they get an insect bite, likes to scratch and scratch away at the skin until it peels off. You could say I'm nipless now, but if you wrote that down and tried to pronounce it, you'd just say nipples. Apart from that, having no nipples, quite a boring person. No, seriously, I just spent a year working as an intern at a printing company in Belgium. Now, with most workplaces, they usually fob the interns off with the job of printing, but in my company, that's what the employees already did. So I was bored in a boring job. Obviously, it wasn't the first job I've ever had. Started off in fake estate, imaginary houses, casinos, hotels. Moved on to invisible estate, but people just saw through that scam. Then I became an interior designer. I planned out kitchens, bedrooms, bathrooms, living rooms, 9/11. You know, all the inside jobs. I have quite a weird food thing. I only like eating the yellow spots on red apples. And when I say I only like eating that, I do only eat that. I don't eat the yellow spots on green apples. I don't eat yellow apples. And I don't even eat any other digestible food produce. Yeah, it's a shame really, because I'm a massive foodie. Absolutely love my food. And it impacts it. In fact, that little quirk has impacted much of my life. And people ask me, Ed, what's your favourite colour? And I say, yellow, spots on a red background, but then only if that pattern is on an apple. Has anyone noticed how all the clocks in the university lecture rooms and classrooms have disappeared recently? Anyone notice that? Yeah? I did that. It wasn't to control time or some evil Machiavellian thing like that. I did it for the hands. I collect clock hands, they remind me of my exes. She was quite odd, you know. Whenever she spoke to me, she would adopt the 7 o'clock position, like that, and she would begin every sentence with a word that started as if to foreshadow our eventual breakup with the sound X. And one day I was sitting across from her and I said, you know, this peculiar mannerism that you have would make it very difficult for me to write dialogue if I was to invent you as a fictional character in one of my stand-ups. And she just replied to me, exactly. My favourite position that my ex and I would adopt was the 6 to 9 position. Which of course, you know, long hand just slightly next to the 12 and then short hand like just below the 9. Like that. Found that very intimate. I thought I'd take the remaining time actually to talk about something that doesn't often come up in, oh my god, conversation, which is the size of my penis. Now, guys, if you just keep it down, I'm talking about my penis size. Now, I don't have particularly, you know, I don't have a big penis, but I also don't really have a small penis, and I also don't really have a medium-sized penis. I would say it's like just smaller than mediocre, you know, just below that sort of level of average. And this isn't just based on speculation, it's based on hard fact. Basically, my method involved employing a Grindr account. So I remember one of my dates, you know, I was sitting there across from my companion, and I persuaded him to get his cock out so that I could measure it under the table, the plastic table that we'd set up in the Tesco Express aisle. Which is a little trick for dates because you have all the selection of ready meals on offer. I mean, it's really cheap as well. And you know, he whipped his out, and then I burrowed deep into my trousers to pull out my measuring tape, and I began to measure his cock size. And as I was doing this, he suddenly looked up and he went, "Wait, are you gay?" And I said, "No, I'm just using a series of male-male dates to plot a statistical Gaussian distribution of men's cock sizes to find my own cock on the bell curve. Are you gay?" And he said, "No, I'm a giant homophobe who uses Grindr to terrorise the gay population." And it suddenly dawned on me that this was the best situation for a Grindr date, because I could measure his cock size without it being gay, and he could terrorise me without taking it out on gay people. You know, and that was a really happy thought that really warmed my heart as I sat there clutching his cock in the Tesco Express. Happiest I've ever felt. Unfortunately, the police didn't share our joy. There was, of course, another very notable date I had, and I walked into the coffee shop and I sat down opposite the guy. I looked at him, and he looked at me. I looked at him, and he looked at me. And I looked at him, and he looked at me. And I looked at him, and he looked at me. And I looked at him, and he looked at me. And after a while, we managed to get it in sync so that we actually looked at each other at the same time. And when we finally did that, he opened his mouth and he uttered quite an incredible line that stuck with me so well that I've actually written it down on a piece of paper to immortalise it. And if you don't mind, I'd like to read it out to you here, right now. This is my final bit. You're all expecting this to be good, aren't you? He looked at me and he said, I could win a handstand competition hands down. I could even do it with my feet up. Why is that? Because I have an ear for balance. Thank you very much.